Next up with Tim Black.
As it relates to undocumented healthcare, yeah, I'm proud of that because I believe in universal healthcare. Others may say it. I did it. First state in the country, regardless of pre-existing conditions, ability to pay, and regardless of your immigration status. I promised that. I promoted it. I ran 3 times on it. I did it when I was mayor. People know who I am. We failed on the border. We need to own up to that. Largest border crossing in the Western Hemisphere in my state. Spent $1 billion+ to do migrant centers, try to put a lid on things. And it was quite critical, but I tried to do it in a respectful way of the Biden administration. We failed on the border. We have to own that. But we've also failed as a consequence because of that to lead the comprehensive immigration question. We've got to get the border right, then we can get to that. But I say that to make the point. You don't need sanctuary policy in this country if we have a federal government doing its job. In the absence of that, we'll deal with the cards that are dealt. And one of the cards that are dealt is people are going to end up in the emergency room, and you're going to pay for that one way or another. I want to keep people out of the emergency room. I want to keep people healthier. I want to keep people safer. And that's why we've advanced these values. Trump uses it as a cudgel, uses it very effectively to attack our party and our values. But I'll stand up to it. And good people can disagree, but I'm very mindful.
Why did Democrats fail on the border?
Because we didn't own up to the reality. We didn't take responsibility.
But beneath it, what happened, right? Joe Biden was not a guy who didn't know that you shouldn't have, chaos at the border. You sent down National Guardsmen at a level of why for policy.
Well, I think the why was everything's in reaction to Trump. Sort of the overreach of Trump.
Yeah.
We come back and we then move 180 degrees in the opposite direction when we didn't need to or shouldn't have. And you saw mass migration across the country. It was hardly unique in the United States. You had all of the shock and supply chain shock and issues around COVID, coming out of COVID, et cetera, that created even more pressure. And then it became overwhelming. And then what also became overwhelming was this notion that we can't do it without Congress. And then Biden then proved Trump right by doing it without Congress. And in the last 6 months, we saw a significant decline in border crossings under the Biden administration that ultimately led to benefits for Trump, claiming he did it all at the end when he really closed the gap marginally. But we paid a huge price for that. And we picked up, I think, the wrong lessons in the midterms. We outperformed in the midterms. And this was a time when all Democratic governors were critical. You saw it publicly. And then they did better than we all expected. And they said, why don't we just focus on these other issues? Mistake.
Okay. Those were a lot of words, weren't they? You talk fast, fam. Check this out. One thing you got to know is undocumented people get health care in California. I'm sorry, let me slow down. Undocumented people get health care in California. He made this sound like, what you going to do? They're going to end up in the emergency room. Not if they have to go home, they won't. Yeah, you know how many homeless black people there are in California? In California, black Americans, we are 4 times more likely to be homeless. We are 7% of the population, but we make up about 30% of the homeless population. Black Americans, they're like 7% of Californians. So we got black people on the streets. They're 50% of homeless families. 50% of homeless families in California are black American families, entire families without homes. You think maybe if he wasn't such a sanctuary taking care of people that just came in the country yesterday, think maybe there'd be more money to help the homeless people? I think there might be, Johnson. I think so. But he said, but we gotta give them health care. Not if they're not here. Yeah, there's some people that need health care right now. But if they're not there, right? They can go home and get it in Mexico or Venezuela. So see, part of the rules, part of the game is what they don't say. He makes it a given. Yeah, dog, if it makes sense. In fact, I support universal health care. I do. But you cannot do universal health care and have open border. Is you crazy? Family, that's nuts. No wonder why your state sucks. No wonder why it's fucking bankrupt, dude. How could it not be? Family, how could you be a sanctuary state? Whatever, right? And have universal health care. Dog, do you realize what I'm saying? That means everybody can come and ICE can't do nothing. You ain't gonna help ICE. Even get the people that are bad. Even get the ones who are in jail. That means if a Venezuelan gangbanger goes to jail and you got him, you won't even let ICE know you got the guy. That's what it means, fam. And if he gets his arm broken in a fight in jail, taxpayers gotta pay for it. Family, that's not free. And as a Black American who is not a migrant in this country, who is descendants of slaves who were property brought here against our will, forced to procreate, forced to work for free, didn't get land, property, a horse, a buggy, 40 acres a mule. And by the way, white Americans were getting 160 acres. And they was like, well, let's give black people 40 acres. And then what they do? They changed their mind and took back the 40 acres. Look it up. And you think I don't have a right to say that because my great-great-great-grandfather should have had that shit? It's no doubt he was a slave. If he was here, he was a slave. More than likely, right? 95% chance? 95% chance, okay? And all I'm saying is, you're going to tell me that you don't think, the argument the Democrats love to make, and same thing with these black internationalists and these these people, they ride out on the fact. They say that we're all the same. We're not all the same. You also want me to believe that no black people would have had family that would have achieved something, would have been able to build homes and wealth, right along next to white people. They weren't given the opportunity to do that. Nothing to start with and not the opportunity, and burnt out of their homes, bombed out of their communities that they did build. Fam, these things happen, man. You know, black people put money in the bank and then white people took the money out the bank. Did you hear what I said? Black people put their money in the bank. It was called the Freedmen's Bank. And then the white people took the money out the bank and didn't even give them any money back. People don't know these stories. They think Tim just mean or upset for no damn reason. Look, back to California. Let's stay focused. Newsom is a problem. California is a problem. When people talk about California, I didn't know what they were talking about, other than the homeless rate. But now that I know they have universal health care, don't get it twisted. I support universal health care. I think everybody should have to go to the doctor, should be able to go to the doctor. I think nothing else matters if you're not here, right? What good is an electric car? Ooh, I got an electric car. Looks nice. Look at them driving these electric cars. I'm in heaven now looking down at my electric car. It would have been nice to drive it, but I'm no longer alive because I couldn't have health care. So health care is very important, fam. You understand what I'm saying? But my thing is, how the hell could you be mad at Republicans for not wanting universal health care when you don't want to close the border and even make it an American citizen perk? You want to make it a perk for the world. That's nuts. That is nuts that we all pay for. Fam, that is insane. These people are lunatics with other people's money. Remember, Gavin Newsom is not Elon Musk. He's not funding this shit out of his own savings. He's taking money out of hardworking people's paychecks to give to people who don't have to be here is bad enough, man. Take care of people that are here. We got enough people in this country to take care of. We don't even take care of our people. It's crazy. I'm going to leave it there, fam. This is crazy. When these politicians talk, what you got to do is you got to hit the pause button. You got to pause in every sentence. Pause, rewind, and play one sentence at a time, and then logic it. Think logically about what was said and decide for yourself, does that make sense? When you do that, you're going to find all types of holes. Fam, you're a smart person. I know you're a smart person. You're just as smart as anybody else, just like me. You don't need 5 degrees. What you need to do is not be intimidated by the bullshit, by the fast talking and all the big words. All you do is take it one sentence at a time and ask why. Yeah, they'll make a statement as if that's the way it is because that's the way it is. No, it's this way because they made it this way. Gavin Newsom says he'd rather people go see the doctor than end up in the emergency room because we're going to have to pay for that. You wouldn't have to pay for it if people weren't here. And they don't have a right to be here. No one has a right to be in your country unless they're a citizen. You don't have the right to drive a fucking car in this country without a license. These people are lunatics. Lunatics.
Catch Tim Black live on the most dangerous show in America, Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. Don't miss out on the real. Stay dangerous.